Today, we're going to be focusing on the third leg of the cost, price, value business model. We're talking about managing the cost of operations, something near and dear to my heart because that was basically my professional career prior to joining Barbell Logic was operations management in manufacturing environments. So today we're going to be talking about the 5-step operations setup guide. As we've already talked about in previous calls, we want to start by defining value to the customer. Number 2, map the value stream from customer to supply. Number 3, establish pull from the customer. Number 4, establish flow through the value stream. And number 5, continuously improve the value stream. So just to rehash real quickly, we're using this model, very simple model for evaluating or talking about the business. From value was our first major topic, price last week, and now cost. So we want to really be focused here on how to reduce cost to increase profit while ideally also increasing value. And we'll talk about how to do both simultaneously. It is a misconception, I believe, that reducing cost has to mean that you are reducing value or that you are simply rushing to go through the process faster. So we talked about how to think about defining value from your customer's perspective. We talked about how we did that at Barbell Logic by asking our ideal customers what they valued about the service. And what we discovered, as discussed previously, is that our customers, our ideal customers, valued the form feedback and programming, accountability, our professionalism, and the support in the relationship. And so this is what we define this is how we design our operating system to deliver these components of value to our customers. And the model that I was presenting when we went through the value section is via the lens of building trust with our clients. So we're demonstrating ability with our form feedback and programming. We're demonstrating integrity with our consistency, accountability, and professionalism. And we're demonstrating benevolence towards our clients with support and building relationship over time. Step 2, this is map the value stream. Now, these steps that I'm talking about are not just 5 steps that I came up with off the top of my head. These are steps that are popularized by the Toyota production system, which some of you may have heard of as a lean manufacturing tool. So this is a global multi-billion-dollar kind of industry that's been famously applied to the automotive industry and over the years has spread to being used across aerospace, military, healthcare. You can really use this tool in any application, and I think it is applicable, as we're discussing today, to coaching operations. So I am showing you the classic value stream picture just to kind of give you a sense of what it looks like overall. We're going to very quickly go to a more relevant model. But the idea here is that it's a visual tool for helping to communicate how you deliver value to your customer. It's a very crude drawing. It originated from operations managers in the Toyota production company, as a means of communicating to the team, to the workforce, what the process looked like, and to help visually identify where there were opportunities to improve the value stream. Some key components are that you always start with the customer first, and you work backwards through the information flow from the customer into the production of whatever it is that you're building, and then delivery to the customer. So that's really all we're looking at here. In manufacturing, you also have some supply chain elements here that lead to influencing what the total process looks like. And then importantly, along the bottom, you have this data table of information that helps you identify where you have inventory built up, which is one of the types of waste among many that we'll talk about in the future. If we look at this in a simplified version for what this might look like to many of you, and as I've talked to coaches over the last few years, this is kind of what I would describe as the normal baseline for online coaching. So, again, starting with the customer over here, there's some sort of information flow either through Instagram, WhatsApp, maybe it's a text message, maybe it's an email, maybe it's a spreadsheet, um, some combination of the four or five. It's not consistent and it's kind of all over the place. Sometimes that's how feedback is delivered and it goes back through an email or a text. Maybe it goes back through the spreadsheet, a Word document. I've seen Google Word documents be used to deliver programming and feedback. Um, Same with support. That's coming from all over the place, different inputs. And then the amount of time that it takes before the customer, between the time that the customer signals to the coach that they need something and the time it takes to get back is also over the place. This is kind of a worst case scenario. People are kind of all over the place and generally speaking, moving closer to something like a 24-hour feedback. But monthly programs and once a month check-ins are totally normal. And they're often different channels of communication. So you might get a spreadsheet delivered once a month, and then you might have a form feedback once a month, and then you might have maybe your DM in Instagram once a month or something like that. So these inventory piles here really reflect how much time the product is, or the value that you're providing back to your customer is sitting doing nothing, or that your customer is waiting. And the tool becomes a way of being able to visually highlight that, because you can see the difference between the total production time for all of this to be delivered to the customer is like 90 days. Whereas the total value add, let's say it takes 20 minutes to respond to everything, 20 minutes to program, 10 minutes to provide feedback. Maybe you're working for an hour in this month to support the client. And yet it's taking 90 days for the customer to get all of that value back to them. So let's call this a current state map for the average online coach. This is the value stream map that I personally how I would describe what I'm using with my clients. A couple of key differences here. I have one channel of communication for my client. It all comes back through Turnkey Coach, whether it's a completed workout, a message, or a calendar note about their schedule. Everything goes back through Turnkey Coach. Turnkey Coach then handles and organizes everything into a combination of the connect page and the calendar, where I can clearly see when they need review, when they have a message that they need me to respond to, if they need programming, if they missed a workout, all organized in sequential order so that I can establish an efficient workflow to provide feedback, programming, and support, the three things that my customer says they value. I'm doing it all within 24 hours. It takes about 10 minutes for the video to process in Vimeo, and my workflow is 3 minutes. So I'm providing all of this value. This value stream is allowing me to provide that all in, from the customer's perspective, roughly 24 hours. Often it's more frequent. I'm often reviewing workouts that are completed the day of. So it's no more than 1 day. And the amount of time that I'm spending adding value is about 3 minutes. So you can really, the value stream map is a way for you to do two things. One, map your current state to understand what your workflow is in order to deliver all the value that you do. To even, some people don't even know what value they're providing. They haven't sat down to think like, what are all the things that I'm doing for my customer? I find it often common with coaches that there's a mindset that there's never enough, which is why it's so important to start by understanding value from the customer. Otherwise, you're completely untethered in terms of knowing what to provide and what not to do. So I often see, as I've talked about in previous calls, the coach is over delivering value for the price that they're charging. and they're not even aware of it because it's coming from almost more of a scarcity mindset or a fear-based mindset that they're not doing enough, they're going to lose their client. So I just need to do more. But more doesn't always meet the customer needs. More important, we've found over time, is to clearly define, again, the value that the customer wants and is willing to pay for, and then consistently deliver that over time. So the value stream map gets you an opportunity to start with understanding a baseline for where you're at today, and then also visually understand where there's opportunity for improvement, where you see time being wasted, where you see inventory of work piling up, where you see um, uh, excessive amount of information flowing or rework. Those are the things that you want to look out for as opportunity to improve. And what you can do to help organize your process improvement is to map the current state and then design your future state. You can create two different value stream maps, which helps you identify the gap. So let's say you want to take this as your desired future state. You can start to then visually see what it looks like in your ideal future state, what you look like today, do a gap analysis, and then start writing an action plan for how to get from where you are to where you want to be. That is really the heart of the Toyota production process, continuous improvement, operational excellence, all these things that lean manufacturing you may have heard of before. That's really at the heart of it, is know where you are, know where you want to go, and build a plan to get there. That's just step two. Step 3 and 4 is to create flow and establish pull. This is really where the Connect page shines, because it does both of those things for you. Creating flow is about making sure that the delivery of value to your customer doesn't have any stopping points. It's not waiting for anything. There's no waste between when the customer pulls and what you deliver. And that's, again, what we've been doing here. There's no queue of information. Once you receive the pull signal from the client, you can quickly deliver your service to the client without having to go find it or wait for anything else to happen. Pull means that you only want to deliver product when your customer wants it, which is another common mistake that I see with coaches, is that they push value to their client whether or not they need it. And that is by definition waste, because your client does not necessarily want what it is that you're giving them. Even if it feels like it's more, it's not necessarily what they want. So what the Connect page does is give you clear signals that it's time for you to deliver value to your client, and you're going to provide them exactly what they want when they want it, which is by, or at least our default right now of 24 hours. You're going to provide them, in theory, a video feedback of technical feedback on their movement, programming, and support could all be done in that one interaction with the client. So again, define your workflow. Now, whether or not you use turnkey or not, you can do this in any operational environment. Set it up so that there's a clear signal from the customer when they want your product or service, and then deliver that in a seamless flow environment. So when I wake up in the morning, I've got my queue of work. This is my inventory that's sitting in front of my coaching workflow. I have a clear prioritized list of pull from my clients, and I know exactly what I need to do to get through my workflow to deliver the value that I've defined. And then I can go about starting to go deeper into the workflow process. Step 5, pursue perfection. So I'm on the turnkey bike with this huge amount of work that I want to do to build trust and deliver value every single day with support, form, and programming. And the process of continuous improvement is that it never stops. So I want to walk you through a little bit of a concrete example of what that looked like for me over the last 7 years. When I first started programming, or when I first started coaching, and I think this is still common for a lot of people, I wasn't intentional about it, but I was providing support, form, and programming. And it kind of looked like this throughout the week. A little bit of support, emails, whatever. Maybe there was a blip on Thursday or Saturday. And then but it was a separate process. We had a forum where we would do all of our communication. I would provide written feedback in that forum as well. And then on Sunday, I did all of my programming, one big block of work that ranged anywhere from 3 to sometimes 4 hours, 5 hours, depending on how many clients I had. And it became a very painful Sunday. At some point along the way, I started experimenting with breaking up the programming throughout the week. So I would go through all of my client communication, I would do all of the technical feedback for the client. And then at the end, I would on Monday do a portion of my programs for the next week, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, just breaking it up at the end of the technical feedback, which got a little bit better. It helped solve some of the problems in terms of Sunday not being so big, but I still have a lot of problems where I needed to do rework throughout the week, or I didn't realize that somebody had missed a workout. So there were a lot of errors and a lot of problems with that approach. Then I started splitting it up every single day. I would do feedback. I would talk to my client, interact with them, and then I would program for their workout kind of sequentially. Then at some point, I realized I could do all of this at the same time while I'm providing feedback and talking to them in my video feedback. I can have their calendar up and provide feedback on my coaching, which is something that from the very beginning, clients were asking. I wish I understood why my coach was making the changes they were making. And I thought that was impossible because in the midst of doing 4 or 5 hours of programming on Sunday, there was no way in my mind that I could stop to explain why I was making all the changes I was making. But when I started embedding it all into one video feedback, I could do that. I could talk to them in real time, watching their video, watching the bar speed. I could explain why I was making the adjustments to the next week or to the next workout. And I was checking in with their program every single workout, which enabled me to stay more flexible with their schedule, and not overproduce programming work that they then just changed because they had an injury or a schedule change that they didn't tell me about until the last second. I could stay fluid and dynamic with my program. What that ended up looking like when I did time studies of my own workflow was basically what I came up with this formula is that however many videos they submitted plus one times the average video length was about how long my average feedback came out to be. Meaning, if they had submitted 3 videos of about 30 seconds, it would typically be 4. So that's 1 plus the 3 videos they submitted, times the average length of time of those videos. So in this case, call it 30 seconds times 4. It's probably going to be somewhere around a 2-minute video. And that plus one takes into account these kind of like 15-second startup and shutdown periods at the end, and allows for me to watch the entire duration of their video while talking to them, in some cases in parallel, like it shows here, about form programming. And as I'm switching between the next video and they're setting up, I can finish up my thoughts on programming as they start completing their reps. I can talk about form. Maybe I noticed something happening in the background, so I make a little connection, human connection. And I'm also dipping into their calendar and talking to them about how I do that or how I'm doing their programming in parallel. And then I've got a little time buffer at the end there to wrap up with any kind of personal comments. I thought I had a drawing here. When I plot this out on average, if you look at a normal distribution of my videos, it's a pretty normal distribution. Here it is right here. Pretty normal distribution around 3 minutes. Some videos have been much longer, very few, but I would say most of them are in this 2 to 5 minute range based on the number of videos that my clients are giving me. And that's really how it came about for me over a long period of time, working on that process. You can't jump straight into doing this, but with time and practice and repetition, this could be a workflow that you could leverage. Okay, so we're a little bit over my Blab time. Like I said, this one's near and dear to my heart. I could and have in my past given full day seminars, full week-long seminars on this process of value stream mapping and continuous improvement, but tried to do it in about 20 minutes. Your homework assignment, should you choose to accept it, is to remember to validate value to your customers, whatever it is for you. Two, map your value stream. Again, start with the customer and work backwards into the supply until the value gets back to the customer. And number three, identify opportunities of improvement. Where do you see excess communication? Where do you see too many systems? Where do you see signal waiting for your customer for too long? Where do you see opportunities to reduce that time? There's a great quote from Jeff Bezos in one of his shareholder letters. I think it was in 2008 that he says something to the effect of, uh, "We can't imagine a future in 10 years where customers are going to want uh, higher prices, longer delivery times, and fewer selection. So we're going to invest in making our products cheaper, faster, and more broadly available." And I think that can be applied to here as well. There's no future in which people are going to want their coaching to happen slower with less service at a higher price. And if you're not continuously improving your operations, eventually your either some combination of your value will become too low compared to the market, or your cost will become too high, so your price will be too high and you will no longer be competitive. So you must be relentlessly driving value up and cost down at the same time so that you can both maintain profitability and competitive position in the market. All right, do you have the ability to show yourself in action, feedback and programming at the same time? Funny you should ask, because we have a free uh, educational coaching in action, I think is what it's called, on the website. Where at the end of it, actually, it's Coaching Rediscovered is on the website. And at the very end, there's a coaching in action demo where there's a video of me doing the process, or basically demonstrating how I coach. I could show you real quickly how I set that up in split screen. This, where I've got the connect page on the right side of the screen, and I have the client calendar on the left side of the screen. I hit the record button, start doing my feedback, and off I go. Usually, what I try to do is, this might sound small, but I greet them by name every time. I review the summary metrics. If there's a PR at the top, congratulate them on that. I'll usually check in with their tonnage to see if there's anything interesting there. I'll highlight their consistency, because I think that's a huge opportunity to reinforce good behavior. And then address any comments that come up. My goal is typically to get the first video playing as quickly as possible, because even if they have comments and or something to recognize, you'll notice here that nothing happens of note usually until sometimes 10 or 15 seconds in the video. I'll pause here. He does not even start his first rep until 12 seconds in the video. So often my goal, like I said, is to hit play. I'll pop it out and kind of start speaking to things in the comment section while I'm watching his squat workout. Now, this is a client I've been working with for a long time, so I know that there's not going to be any major adjustments. I'm mostly trying to keep an eye on bar speed, but I will look for things happening in his bar path. He has a tendency to slide forward at the bottom, for example, and then his elbows kick up. So that might be something I comment on to give him a cue to reinforce. Um, as soon as that one's done, I'll go to the next video. I've got that popped out. The reason I like doing picture in the picture is because I can then also start working on his program. Now, he's a little bit all over the place because he's traveling, but often I'll go find, whatever I'm often copying usually a workout from the past to bring it over. He's kind of on a pretty straightforward LP here. But I might say something to the effect of, okay, the squat looked good, let's go up 5 pounds. Right now he's on a rep progression on his deadlift. Let's add a rep and go for a set of 8 at 240, assuming this goes well. Again, I'm just kind of watching the bar speed here. And then depending on whether or not or how many accessories he has, sometimes I'll often do those with multiple playing at the same time. Here he has one set of accessories. So I'll pop that out. And usually we're just adding a rep or two, depending on what the dumbbell speed looks like at the end. With something like curls, I might give him just something I want him to focus on. And then I'll usually fast forward to see what the last rep or two looks like. He looks like he's definitely good to go up. And there at the end, I've got his next program written. Of course, we have the holidays going on right now, so there's all kinds of schedule stuff in the calendar that I can try to pay attention to. He's also a pilot, so he's often traveling, but that's just a rough order of magnitude. And then I usually check in with the metrics to see how his difficulty and fatigue are doing. I track difficulty, duration, and fatigue on every single workout because I feel like those are the three subjective things that can help me triangulate whether the program has too much stress, not enough, etc. But that's just kind of rough order of magnitude, what it looks like. Once I hit the stop button, that starts uploading, closes the first workout, and then I open up the next one, drag the calendar over. So that client is ready to go, hit the record button, and I'm off to the next workout. So again, from that flow state kind of perspective that I was talking about before, a lot of the features on the Connect page are designed to keep you in the flow state, moving quickly from workout to workout to workout, not having to wait and think about what do I need to do next? Who do I need the program for? Everything that I need to take care of my clients is on the Connect page. I don't have to go anywhere else. I don't have to go look at the client page to think about who needs programming because I've got all those notifications. I don't have to go anywhere else to figure out who's missed a workout that I need to check in with because I get those notifications there. By the time I work through my Connect page and I've cleared that queue of inventory of work, I'm done for the day. Do I typically just stay one day ahead of my clients, or does that just depend on the client? I would say it depends on the client and how consistent they are. Ideally, I'm always programmed one full week in advance. But if a client demonstrates to me that they are not consistent, then I will often only program one day in advance or one day at a time, because I don't want to put a bunch of work out there that then they're not going to do. So I have examples where I have only one workout programmed and it's basically giving them an opportunity to pull more work from me. If somebody is very consistently getting 3 or 4 workouts a week, then I'm usually programming. And that's mostly because that's also how my programming structure works. I'm typically working in weekly kind of structure. Some of my clients are on a 3 or 4 or 8-week program structure. And so I will have some mapped out further in the future for my really, really consistent clients. But I think I would say mostly dependent on how consistent they are.